Well, Dave, there's been a lot in the papers today about possible implications for the Isle of Man again, with more tax laws in other jurisdictions. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, I mean, this is the American FATCA Act, which is the Foreign Account Tax Compliance Act. And it's really a piece of US tax legislation that's been in gestation for the last couple of years now. But we finally received the regulations, or the draft regulations, last week, all 389 pages of them. And it's really all designed about helping the Americans identify, helping the IRS identify Americans that have not been properly paying their US taxes. Now, the reason why it's important for the Isle of Man is that it imposes very significant burdens on what's called foreign financial institutions. And within that definition of foreign financial institution, there will be things like local banks, insurance companies, funds, the trust and company administration sector. So it's really catching all aspects of our financial services sector. And it's significant because some people think that it only applies if you have, say, investments directly in the US, but actually it can catch all sorts of situations, even where people have only very remote indirect investments into the US, and indeed even where they have no US customers. So it's going to impose a big compliance burden on local financial institutions. And with the regulations, with the law coming into effect from January 2014, there's not a huge amount of time now for organisations to make sure that they are complying with the rules.
Put it in a nutshell, how will it affect the Isle of Man?
Well, what it means for the Isle of Man really is it's unfortunately another compliance burden that organisations on the Isle of Man will have to comply with. I mean, I think organisations shouldn't be afraid of it, in the sense that nobody should really be afraid of exchange of information, because, you know, in this day and age, people shouldn't be assisting other people evade foreign taxes, and, you know, in the vast majority of cases that's not happening. But what it is it's an extra compliance burden on top of everything else that's out there for those institutions based in the Isle of Man. And it's particularly an issue about scale, because smaller institutions will have the same compliance burden effectively as much larger institutions that are more able to comply with it. And failure to comply with it, if you don't participate in the regime, really could have quite draconian effects on your institution, to the extent that other foreign financial institutions may just refuse to deal with you at all. So it's very significant for the island.
And this will affect other offshores as well, though, will it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it affects the Channel Islands, Cayman, BVI in the same way. And it affects places like Switzerland. And Switzerland is really where this all started. The scandals in Switzerland about the Swiss bankers that were effectively deliberately helping Americans evade taxes, and UBS and so on. This is probably where this all started. And this is the Americans' way of ensuring that there aren't widespread tax abuse by Americans abroad, particularly involving private banking situations.
So with a bit of a crystal ball, do you think it will have major implications here or not?
I think it will have significant implications, because I think it may be the start. Up to now, information exchange on request has been the norm over recent years in the tax world. So when one tax authority believes that an individual or corporate taxpayer has not been fully complying with their obligations, it can come to the Isle of Man. If there's an information exchange agreement in place, it can come to the Isle of Man assessor and ask for information. With FATCA, that will be automatic exchange of information happening, and there's a good chance that this automatic exchange of information could become the new global standard, so rolled out across the world, and that's what we anticipate may well happen.